Well, good morning. I'm a little slow today.
That's
How you
all
doing,
right.
Bobby?
Doing great. How you doing, Ed?
Like I said, a little slow today. It's one of those. It's gotten really busy with people looking into buying homes. I don't know if you know that. So I
Oh
have a
yeah,
lot of. There's a huge. People still want to buy homes. The problem is, on average, out of 10, 2 maybe are able to right now because of you have to do the buy down in order for them to qualify.
yeah,
So as long as they're willing to work with you on that, then there's no problem.
yeah. I've been incredibly busy like the last like 2 months, which has been great. I'm happy about it.
Yeah, it's better than sitting around doing nothing.
Yeah, yeah. People still looking to sell, and people still looking to buy.
Right. And rates improved. And, until we know what's going on and we have one more month of, CPI showing that inflation is going down, then they'll go down a little bit more. But
Yeah.
until then, that's December, probably 10th or so, right around there, 9th. I can't remember. I'll figure that out in the next week or two.
Yeah.
Yeah. As we get closer to December, I still can't believe we're in November. What is today? The 15th? Yeah.
I know. Trust me. I realized I was like, I should know that because the baby just had his first birthday, which was November 6th. So I should have realized we were in November. But yeah, it's been a whirlwind.
Or you can just watch, you watch that. You don't watch any TV, huh?
No, we just have Hulu.
Yeah, well, no, there's that Yellowstone that everybody talks about. One of the kids that was on there last year was small and a little chubby, and then this year he's like grown up. It's like also it's funny how your kids, once they're like they hit 12, they're here, and then all of a sudden 14, they're so different. Yeah, I look back at Blake, my son, how different he looked at 5 years ago compared to today.
Yeah, see, I haven't gotten there yet, man. But
Yeah, they just change all of a sudden. Like you turn around, they're like, "What the heck? You're almost as tall as I am, but you're still not."
you got a grown man now, huh?
Well, he's on the Army. So what do you want to talk about today?
I want to talk about ADUs.
ADUs, additional dwelling units.
Yeah.
What about them?
So I know we talked about them a long time ago, but we haven't talked about them recently. And I know it's very specific to, the state and county you're in. So obviously you have to check with them. But as far as with Stanislaus County, which is the county that we're operating in mostly, they have a maximum dwelling size of 1,200 square feet, and it has to be within 150 feet of the main property. So I kind of want to discuss that.
You mean it has to be within 150 feet of the main property, or it can't be any closer than that?
It has to be within.
Okay, so it has, So basically, you're like right there. 150 feet is not long.
No, it's not too far.
Yeah.
But right now,
what's the edge? How close can I get to the property line? Do you know?
That they didn't give me specifics on.
Because I know I had Riverbank on the radio show a couple months ago, and they were talking about how all the cities in the area got together and they're putting together pretty much the same requirements, but they don't have the program fully. Like here's a list of stuff you can do, right? Yes, and that they're still working on that. They won't have it till January.
Gotcha.
So, you can get one done, but they won't have, because they automatically identified like 5 different types they allow or something like that, but all that stuff won't be in writing until January. You can do it, but there's no easy access.
Gotcha.
You have to call them to get that information.
Now, the property that I was calling about was a parcel that had 7 acres, so there wasn't too many concerns about property lines.
No, 7 acres. Usually you can have additional ADU on that one automatically, right? The ADUs I'm talking about is like in your backyard Modesto, right? Putting that in, it's for some people 1,200 square feet is a lot.
That would be a lot, yeah. Well, so I have one in my backyard that the previous owners built, and I'm sure once they come up with their agreed upon parameters, then we'll know, right? But like setbacks on mine are like 8 feet from the property line, so.
Well, because I'm in the old part, and we have a garage that's set back, 1.5 foot, if that.
Yeah.
From the neighbor's side, and all of them, if we get the diagram from the city, look like they're on everybody's property lines.
Yeah.
Or over the property lines. No one really cared back then.
Well, so in my neighborhood, because I'm over in Loma, right? Like I said, depending on which way your house is facing, but on my side of the street, the south side of the garages are the property line for the next house. So it's kind of weird. It's almost like nowadays how we have like 0 lot line.
Right.
So
yeah.
Don't go putting a hole in my garage wall. But it's in your backyard.
Right, because I remember the neighbor, like years when I first bought it, was an older lady, and her son came over when somebody else was renting it, and they told him he has this garage on our property line. It's like, no, I don't.
Yeah.
You just don't understand that. You're just coming at this not understanding all the information yet.
Yeah.
Once you find all that out, you'll understand that no, it's not the lines that they have. You can't go off of Google Maps, right? The view, because if you do that on my cabin, all of our cabins are on the wrong lots, right? It's never perfect. The lines don't line up.
Yeah.
So yet one day, because anyway, move on. So what about ADUs? You just wanted to know if there were. I mean, I think everybody should put one in to help with inflation.
Yeah, well, I mean, having it as another source of income is great, but a lot of times, families. I have one right now, actually, some family members of mine. They're looking at buying a property together and having to possibly more their houses on one lot, right?
Right.
And so I think it's a great option. It's good to know that they have a maximum structure size, right?
Question is, in that area, that 7 acres, is that the minimum size lots, or can you split that lot?
I didn't ask any questions about subdividing.
The reason I'm asking is because I know we have the 32 acres up in Twainhart, and it's R5, which means the minimum lot size can be 5 acres.
Okay.
So we know we can subdivide that 32 acres into whatever 5 goes into 32.
Yeah. If I can say, if you want neighbors 5 acres away.
Oh no, I just want my neighbors made me mad, so I'm probably going to do it.
Yeah.
No, it just you could add. What I'm looking at is so we have the upper 11 acres and the lower is 22. They're all together, but that's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah.
I could have my house and another ADU on 11 acres, or I could split it into 5 and 6, and I could have a house and a little small structure. Then I could have next to it 2 more structures for like a gym and a garage. You know what I mean? You can split it up in different ways to make it to where you can have everything on. And it's funny when you're talking about acreage, and I'm going, well, we're going to split it to 5 acres and see if there's enough room. It's like you forget when I'm sitting at my house in Modesto, it's like, okay, it's all these streets together is our property, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's sometimes people, unless you've been around acreage or grew up on it, it's kind of hard to kind of judge how large, anywhere from 5 to 10 acres is.
Right. Because it sounds like a lot, but when you get there, you're like, this isn't a lot, but it's amazing what you can cram into that many places.
Yeah. I was going to say, nowadays, new subdivisions, man, you're lucky if you have, 0.12 acres of a lot.
Right.
With the 2,000 square foot house.
Is that 5,500 square feet?
I'm not good at doing those.
Well, I'm just saying that's on average what the newer stuff was off of Snyder. On average was 5,500 to 7. If you're lucky, you had a 7,800. Most people had such a small, and that's when they put these massive houses on there that you don't have much of a yard left.
Yeah, so obviously that's not an option for ADU on these newer developments,
No, you got to have a yard to put it in.
Yeah. But I mean, a 1,200 square foot ADU, that's a good size. I mean, most of Modesto, when it was built, were 2-bedroom, 1 bath.
1,100 square feet.
Yeah.
That's what my house was: 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, 1,100 square feet. Not anymore, because ever since they built it, it's been added on ever since then. And so that's 1,100 square feet. Is not a lot. Is a good size, but I remember my first apartment, I think was 700 square feet.
I was gonna say his level bar. Our first house was 900. It was a 2-bedroom, 1 bath.
And there's nothing wrong with buying that as your first home when you're single or married and not a ton of kids yet, and then add an ADU and then go buy your forever home.
Yeah.
Right now you have a rental that you can make money off of both of them because they're about the same size each, and it's just one way to add more. The ADU came out so that they could add another 785,000 homes in California.
Yeah, and now maybe since we're talking about it, just to clarify, obviously this doesn't mean like putting just rolling a mobile home onto the property, right? Because
you need to do a modular or a stick built. A modular is just a stick built in a factory. Yeah. The manufacturer means it's on a chassis. That's the difference. Yeah. The guidelines from HUD when they changed it in June of '76 said from here going forward, it's on a chassis, and this has all these guidelines. That's a manufactured, and those if you put them in your backyard on a permanent foundation and you have a single family, now you've just narrowed it down to how many people can do a loan on that.
Yeah,
well, that's not what they want. But if you do a modular, it's not the same thing.
And I was actually talking with my uncle yesterday, and I was impressed. He knew the difference right off the gate. right out of the gate. So
you need to know the difference. It's huge difference
I
because
was just surprised that he knew, because he's not in the real estate industry. So.
Right. Well, because I know some people who build these things and they build single wide and double wides, and they're like, oh yeah, you can put one of these. It's like, no, that changes everything.
Yeah.
You can do that, on land or whatever, and just not put on a permanent foundation. Then when you go to sell it, it's just storage. There's ways around it, but you want to stick with whatever's on there. If you have a manufactured home on there right now, a permanent foundation, you're going to put another one, then it still is a little bit harder to do too.
Yeah. And you can find plans all over the internet for ADUs, and you could find ones with like 2-car garages where it's like a studio apartment above the garage, so.
Right. Well, that's one of the ones they allow through the city that the cities are putting out.
Yeah.
They have 4 different ones plus one above the garage. But I do know if there's a company called S2A Modular, and they have smaller units that they'll build and then bring out on site and put up. And you have to have a contractor do the finished 10%. They'll do 90%, get it, and then you can do the finished stuff once you get their foundation, that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
So there's a lot of stuff coming, and eventually we're going to see more homes being built in factories. And I'm talking the modular ones, not manufactured; those are still going to happen. But I'm talking the modular ones are going to be built because every house is some type of a box or square, right, or rectangle, and you can build most of that in the factory. 90% of the home can be built there, brought out on site, and finished the last 10% on site.
Well, then another thing to think about is you have a lot of quality control, right? So
they have 3 shifts, dude. They can do 4 houses a day.
Yeah, but what I was going to say is so I have some friends that had their first house built. They're engineers, right? And they came out like every other day to the job site, and so they came out like from the time that the slab was poured, and then during framing, and so they were calling different studs and things like that were warped or had big old knots missing, and so those are the things that without the quality control in a factory setting, say the foreman's not on the job site that day, someone might throw up something that's got twisted lumber,
They got drunk the night before and they just not doing it perfectly today. No, but you're right. There's no, and that's why, the home builders do it, but not necessarily one individual company building the house. But in a factory, you're right. There's totally 3 different shifts. They all have somebody in charge, and they buy tons amount of lumber. So they get better prices on everything. And it's going to be the wave of the future.
Yeah. For
even new home builders, they'll just order 85 homes and all right, bring them out and we'll finish them on site.
Well, I know we talked about it last week, just like seasonally, obviously
there is no
season by weather, right?
Yeah.
But I know like in construction, the biggest concern is to get things, quote unquote, dried in, right?
Right.
That way, if it rains or snows, wherever you're at, you're not affecting the framing. So
yeah, that's not the case now.
No,
because they can do it, and eventually we'll have enough of these places to do this. But right now, there's only a few of them, and they need more of them.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure a lot of builders are like, no, it's going to make it easier for you. So much cheaper. You don't have to worry about any problems. The warranty of the home later on, the 10-year builder warranty, that it's really not going to come into play because it's perfect in a factory. Everything's there.
Yeah.
So it's just the finished touches on site. So, all right. Anything else, Bob, you want to talk about? There's loans for ADUs. You can either do a HELOC, or you can do a second, or you can do a new first when the rates come down. But there's a lot of money out there for the ADUs.
Okay, good. Maybe we'll do a show on that next time.
Yeah, I think so. We should also do a webinar on it.
I like it.
Yeah. All right, everybody, make it a great day. Bobby, thanks for being here.
I think so.
And